The controversy surrounding former President Donald Trump's stance on reclaiming the Panama Canal has sent shockwaves through the global community. His bold and highly controversial suggestion that the United States should regain control of the canal, along with his reported interest in Greenland, has reignited long-dormant tensions and raised serious concerns about the future of international diplomacy. For many, Trump's position represents a reassertion of American dominance on the global stage. Others, however, view it as a reckless and potentially dangerous move that could have far-reaching consequences. With global trade, national sovereignty, and international relations all at stake, this issue has become one of the most debated geopolitical flashpoints of the modern era. The Panama Canal has long been a key global trade route, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans and serving as a vital economic artery. Since its construction in the early 20th century, it has played a significant role in shaping international commerce, U.S. foreign policy, and global economic development. The United States played a pivotal role in the canal's creation, supporting Panama's independence from Colombia in 1903 and subsequently constructing the canal, which officially opened in 1914. For decades, the canal was under U.S. control, serving as a critical military and economic asset. However, following decades of diplomatic negotiations, the Carter-Torrijos Treaties of 1977 paved the way for the canal's transfer to Panama in 1999. The move was widely celebrated as a victory for Panamanian sovereignty and a testament to the power of diplomacy. Yet, Trump's recent comments have called this historic agreement into question. In his view, the United States should never have relinquished control of the canal, as it remains a crucial component of global trade and U.S. strategic interests. He has framed his stance as a necessary move to protect American economic security, national defense, and global influence. Trump has consistently pursued a foreign policy centered around American strength and economic self-interest. His America First approach was a defining characteristic of his presidency, influencing trade agreements, military strategies, and diplomatic relations worldwide. His recent push for the U.S. to reclaim control of the Panama Canal aligns with this broader vision. In Trump's view, the canal's current management under Panama leaves the U.S. vulnerable to foreign influence, particularly China's growing economic presence in the region. Trump and his supporters argue that China's increasing involvement in the management of nearby ports represents a direct challenge to U.S. economic interests and security. To many, this proposal represents a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy, potentially setting a dangerous precedent for aggressive intervention. Critics argue that any attempt to reclaim the canal would not only violate international treaties but also risk sparking a geopolitical crisis. Panama has already made it clear that it views the canal as a cornerstone of its national sovereignty, and any attempt to undermine its control would be met with fierce resistance. One of the key motivations behind Trump's stance is the growing influence of China in Latin America, particularly near the Panama Canal. In recent years, Chinese investment in infrastructure, energy, and trade agreements in the region has surged. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, has led to significant investments in Panama, including port development and logistics hubs. From Washington's perspective, China's increasing foothold near the Panama Canal is a strategic threat. The U.S. has long viewed the canal as an essential trade route, and China's involvement in its surrounding infrastructure raises concerns about potential economic and military ramifications. Trump's call to reclaim control of the canal is, in part, a response to these concerns, as he and his supporters argue that the U.S. must take decisive action to counter China's growing influence. However, experts caution that any unilateral action by the U.S. could backfire, pushing Latin American nations further into China's sphere of influence. The region has increasingly looked to China as an economic partner, and aggressive U.S. intervention could erode trust and diplomatic ties. Trump's stance on the Panama Canal draws parallels to past U.S. foreign policies, particularly during the early 20th century, when interventionist policies in Latin America were commonplace. The Monroe Doctrine and the Roosevelt Corollary justified U.S. intervention in the region to protect economic and security interests. For many, Trump's rhetoric evokes echoes of this imperialistic past. Critics argue that reclaiming the canal would signal a return to a foreign policy that disregards the sovereignty of other nations in favor of U.S. dominance. This, they warn, could strain relations with Latin America and further isolate the US on the global stage. Supporters, however, view Trump's position as a necessary step to safeguard American interests. They argue that global trade dynamics have shifted since the canal's transfer in 1999 and that US control is necessary to counter emerging threats and maintain economic stability. Panama's government has responded firmly to Trump's comments, reaffirming its control over the canal and warning against any attempts to undermine its sovereignty. Panamanian officials have emphasized the canal's importance to their national economy and have called for international support in resisting any external pressure. The international community has also taken note of Trump's statements, with reactions ranging from concern to outright condemnation. Many view his stance as a destabilizing move that could undermine decades of diplomatic progress. The United Nations has called for peaceful dialogue, urging the US and Panama to resolve any concerns through diplomatic channels rather than aggressive rhetoric. Mexico, a key US trading partner and a major user of the canal, has also voiced opposition to Trump's stance. With an already strained relationship due to past trade disputes and border policies, Trump's push for control over the canal has only added to tensions between the two nations. As the debate continues, the future of the Panama Canal remains uncertain. While Trump's rhetoric has sparked controversy, it remains to be seen whether any concrete actions will follow. However, his comments have undeniably reignited discussions about global trade, sovereignty, and the balance of power in Latin America. The canal's strategic importance ensures that it will remain a focal point in international relations for years to come. Whether under Panamanian control, US influence, or facing increased Chinese investment, the canal will continue to shape the global economic landscape. The question remains, will the US pursue a diplomatic approach, or will Trump's vision of reclaiming the canal set the stage for a new era of geopolitical conflict? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, the world is watching closely. Please like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you for watching my channel.